Welcome to the second industry talk session of the Emerging Market Business Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are deeply honored and privileged to have with us our second speaker, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Haji Mustapha Kamal bin Haji Abu Bakar, the MK Group founder, MK Lens Holdings BERHAD. Firstly, please allow me to introduce our esteemed speaker. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Haji Mustapha Kamal bin Haji Abu Bakar served as non-independent, non-executive chairman of the board of MK Lens Holdings BERHAD. He was first appointed to the board holdings in 1999. He was the executive chairman until his redesignation in 2011. After he graduating from University of Malaya, he started his career in 1970 as the Assistant District Officer and later rose to be the Deputy Commissioner of Lands and Mines for the Selangor State Government. He then moved into the private sector and became the Managing Director of Shah Alam Properties Sdn BERHAD. In 1983, he formed the MK Group of Companies. He was Professor Adjunct of Universiti Utara Malaysia from 2004 to 2008. He sits on the board of trustees of Yayasan MK, Bukit Merah Orangutan Foundation, Perdana Leadership Foundation, and Yayasan Bersamamu TV3. He is also the advisor to Pulau Banding Foundation. He received the Dewan Perniagaan Melayu Malaysia Fellowship Award in 2002, Anugerah Tokoh Ma'al Hijrah in 2003, the Small Medium Industry Association of Malaysia Platinum Award in 2005, the Malay Chambers Presidential Award 2006, and the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012. In the same year, he was conferred the Honorable Doctorate by Universiti Utara Malaysia and Universiti Teknologi Mara. May I now invite Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Haji Mustapha Kamal bin Haji Abu Bakar to deliver his speech entitled, "Are we prepared to compete in the globalized market?"
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu asyrafil wal mursalin Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala sahbihi ajmain. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Nur Azlan Ghazali, Vice Chancellor Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, is a very good friend of mine, and I'm indeed honored to be here today. Thank you, Prof, for inviting me. Timbalan-timbalan Naib Chancellor UKM, yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Nurgani Muhammad Nur, yang berbahagia Profesor Dr. Ishak Yusof, Senior Officers of UKM, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I must thank all of you for giving me this honor to be with you today. I'm indeed honored, and this is the first time in UKM. I feel so welcome. They even provided me with kuih raya just now. But I must forewarn you, I'm not well, so I don't think I'll be able to tell you much, but nonetheless, I'll try. I'm going to tell you, it's about reality of life. You may not get it from your textbook. I went through 30 over years, and I'm going to tell you the reality of life. Point number one, this is a cruel world. So be very careful with that statement. And since most of you is as young as my children, I'm going to refer myself as Pakcik, uncle. It's only dedicated to the student, not to the professors, to the lecturers. So you please refer to me as uncle. I am representing your father and your mother, your parents, to tell you the plain truth about what is life outside this campus. Okay, the topic of today's discussion is very relevant, so I better write it, someone to help me to write it down so that I'll not go off tangent. Okay, so there are 4 or 5 things that I want you to write it down, okay? Number one, the executive of the future. Lekas sikit ya. The executives of the future will be rated by his ability to anticipate his problem rather than to meet them as they come. Okay, I'll repeat. The executive of the future, I'm not talking about now. I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm projecting what could possibly be the needs of the future executive. The future executive of the future will be rated by his ability to anticipate his problem rather than to meet them as they come. They should have a global mindset together with the ability in today's fast changing world. Sorry. Can you just tilt a bit so that I could also follow what you... Okay, I'll read it again, yeah? The executive of the future will be rated by his ability to anticipate his problem. Ability to anticipate his problem rather than to meet them as they come. So what has happened all this while? When it becomes a problem, you address them. But now I'm talking about the future. The future, the ability to anticipate. That's what I want to stress today to all of you. They should have a global mindset. Together with the ability. Again, the word ability. This is a very important statement. The ability is a very important word. In today's fast-changing world, that's number one. Number two, the same executive must have the ability to look at issues and opportunities today. To look at issues and opportunities today. And be able to visualize the future that addresses the issue, that addresses the same issue that you look at it now, and exploit the opportunities. Okay, these are some of the key words. The important thing here is, ladies and gentlemen, is the ability. This ability requires skills that we must acquire if ever we want to be successful in the future. And this will sum up, if this is what I'm going to say, the end result, what did you write it down there? Yes, the ability, right, to make it happen on time, within cost, and with quality. Okay, now let me just go slowly so that you understand. The executive will be rated by his ability to anticipate his problem. Why would anyone wants to employ you? Or even if you want to be on your own as an entrepreneur, what ultimately be your main objective to do business, for example, is to solve a problem and to make money, profit. Meaning, to solve a problem is the main criteria. If I use an analogy, You go to a coffee shop. Why do you go to the coffee shop? Because you are thirsty. Why do you want to drink? Because you want to quench your thirst. That's absolutely a compelling reason why you are going to the coffee shop. So when you go down there, of course, they will ask you, what do you actually want? Because there's many ways to quench your thirst. You can take teh tarik, liquors, you can Milo, whatever. But that guy who has got to ask you what seems to be your request to quench your thirst. Let's assume you have got diabetic, you have got some heart problem. You may not be able to drink those teh tarik manis, terlampau manis, or too sweet. Or as a good Muslim, you are not allowed to take liquor. We'll decide to have teh tarik kurang manis. I hope those from Poland is quite knowledgeable about teh tarik kurang manis. Are you quite familiar with that teh tarik? The Polish? No response? You are missing something in life. You'll never ever get it in Poland. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So, what if that guy gives you teh tarik penuh manis, which is costing more because it's putting sugar in it? You naturally say no. Why? Because you got diabetic or you got heart problem. It's not that it's not good, because that's what the market wants. And now I'm using the word what market wants. So I'm trying to hint. You do something that what the market wants, not what you think the market wants. These are to the professors, to the lecturers. Sometimes what you think the market wants is the wrong thing to do, and it is not fair to the student. Okay, back to the teh tarik. But the moment they provide you with the teh tarik, the one that you want, that would quench your thirst, what would happen next? Naturally, you will pay. In other words, you are paying to quench your thirst. The same analogy if you are being employed by the university, by any company for that matter, you are being paid to solve a problem. If I could hint a little, you are being paid to teach the students, to enable the students to be gainfully employed. And let me tell you, today in Malaysia, there's almost 75,000 unemployed graduates. Would you allow me to take my drink? I'm not well, my throat is getting bad. Excuse me. So back to the issue. Even if you are being employed by a company, you are now expected to solve a problem. What I am trying to tell you is for you to have the skill to anticipate that problems before it becomes a problem. That's the future. What Tun Mahathir said this morning, I don't know, I wonder what he said, but I'm sure he said about the future emerging market, about the future of the emerging market, I think. Whoever is going to fit into that scenario has got to have that ability. And this ability comes not only from knowledge, it comes from the skills, the special skills that you require, and most importantly, because of me, of my experience. Why am I kept on saying my experience? Uncle was never a bright student. I'm not ashamed to acknowledge the fact that I was one of the bright students. I was never one of the top 5 in the class. But at the same time, I was not an idiot at the same time. Please bear in mind. So I was an average student. And if you think that what I am saying is right, this average student, once upon a time average student, makes it best in life, you can do it. It is not a rocket science. Believe me. You want me to tell you the truth? Yes. But it requires YOU to do a lot of things. YOU, Anda, you. I'll tell you a little later what you need to do. There's no shortcut to it. Another thing is, someone will say, hey, uncle, I'm from a poor family. Now let me also tell you here, without hesitation, My late grandfather was a vegetable seller. How poor can one be? If I said my late grandfather was a vegetable seller. So being poor and being an average student is not an excuse. It's either you want it or you don't want it. You, not your teachers, not your lecturers, not your parents. It is simply YOU. So coming back to this, the next one is the ability to look at issues are all the problems. Today, looking at the issues of today and opportunity today and capitalize, visualize it. Visualize the future, having to solve that problem, the issues, and capitalizing on that opportunities. You know why? Because you and I, being very unfortunate, unless our name starts with Duli Yang Maha Mulia, or Duli Yang Teramat Mulia, or Yang Amat Berhormat, then that's not within the scope of my talk. As long as you are in check. Even the my Tan Sri came off late. I was just like you. I started with a nobody. So what I'm trying to say there, visualize it, because all these opportunities is being camouflaged through as a problem. You and I, that's why we have got to be different. We have got to be very creative. And if you look at some of my projects, if not all my projects, those projects, I'm doing affordable housing, low-cost housing. If low-cost housing, affordable housing is making a lot of profit, every developer would have embarked on it. But nobody wants to do it. But this is very important for you to, the next statement is very important for you to understand. I am sorry that I've got to say what I'm going to say next. Because I am a Muslim, I have no business talking about other religion because I am not qualified to talk about Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, but I'm qualified to tell you as a good Muslim. I'm sorry that I can't go into other religion. Not that I'm not here to preach at the same time. I'm here to tell you what actually assisted me making these decisions. The basis of my decision in Arabic, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Literally translated, oh God, Almighty God, bless me in this world. Bless me in the hereafter. And avoid me going to the hell. Literally speaking. If you are a Christian, if you are a Buddhist, and I believe there might be some semblance. The little I know about Hinduism is they believe in hereafter too. Both of you can sit. You can sit. When I want you to write, I'll call you. So, what I'm trying to drive at the decision making, this is the very next statement, very important statement, decision making. I'll explain a little later, but the basis of my making decision is based on that statement that I am not only considering this world. If you start considering only this world, greed, this cruel world will dictate you to say, what is it in for me? What do I get? There's no such thing as voluntarism. It's a cliche. It's a cliche. So, if you talk about this world, then you talk about ego. If you talk about this world, you talk about power. My God. That's the basis of a downfall of YOU. You'll never be, you may be successful, but you may not be happy. The two words that I want you to be clear. Before I talk about being happy and be successful, let me stress, there are two things that God has blessed all of us, irrespective of you, small, big, Polish, Malaysian, Tan Sri, Datuk, Vice Chancellor, even the King. Two things. God has blessed us with what I call number one, raw talent. God has given us a lot of things, but we have always taken for granted. But I'm only stressing the 2 points. Number one is the raw talent. Let's take Nicole David, who says Malaysian cannot be world champion. Nicole David, on an as-is basis, is a world champion in squash. You ask her to play badminton, it's still a racket game. She won't go far. Because her raw talent is in squash, and she took up squash, and she is where she is today. So that's basically, what about you? What about you? Do not do things that you have to do. Do things that you want to do. If you have to do, it becomes stressful. You need people like me to come and give you motivational talk. It's actually a waste of time. But if you want to do what you want to do, you don't need to be motivated. Nobody motivates Nicole David, and she's the best in the world. So that's number one. I'm asking each of my anak, my children now, ask, what is your raw talent? You could be you can be teaching, not everybody can be a medical doctor, not everybody can be an architect, not everybody can be an engineer, not everybody can be whatever. Number two, what God has given to us, that irrespective of who we are, God has given us the freedom of making choice. I want to eat, I want to drink, I don't want to eat, I don't want to drink, I want to go to the lecture, I want to study, I don't want to study, are all given to you. But God didn't allow you. The consequences of your decision is not within you. It's within His purview. If you don't study, you fail. You cannot tell God, hey, why do I have to fail me? So now, two things. Raw talent, number one, maybe we should write. I want you to dream after this. Visualize your future. And it has got to start from now. Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. This is the beginning. So raw talent two is making choice. Making choice, just digressing, you don't make choice at the expense of your religion. You don't make choice at the expense of your family members. You don't make choice at the expense of relationship. You don't make choice at the expense of discipline. You don't make choice at the expense of principle. No. There are others you can compromise. But there are things, choice, that you have got to make. You cannot compromise. The moment you compromise, my friend, you are not going to make it. And this cruel world will be really cruel. So that's about choice making. That's about it. So back to this. The ability to make it happen on time, within cost and with the quality, is a requirement. But I'll quote another instance. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam keluarga berjalan. They were walking. The prophets went for a walk, and he bumped into these people who plants grape. And these people asked, Prophet, oh Prophet, why is my grape sour? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, please ask those who are competent in that field. Are you with me? Okay, that's another thing that I want to stress. Please remind me of this story. Another thing that most of us, if not everybody, has forgotten to differentiate these three little words. One is I love, two is I like, three is I trust. In life, you must be able to differentiate these three. Okay, now let me give an illustration just to make sure you understand the difference between these three words. I love my wife, full stop. And I like Datuk. I like Datuk. I didn't say I love Datuk, no. I see all of you looking at it. I'm straight, my friend. Okay, so let's assume I've got a heart problem. If I were to go to my wife and say, darling, I love you, please operate me, open me up, there'll be late Mustapha Kamal. So if I go to Datuk, VC, Datuk, I like you so much, please open me up. The late Mustapha Kamal. Who do I go to? To the expert. I may not like him, let alone love him. I might not even know him. But I trust that with his knowledge, his skill, his experience, his qualification, and most importantly, the ability to make it happen on time, within cost, and with quality, God willing, I'll survive. So if you can differentiate these three in your life as you go along, at what stage love should stop being involved in your decision making, at what stage liking a person should stop degrading your decision making, and always be surrounded with people who are competent. Because the basis of all relationship is based on trust. And the foundation of that simple trust is, you must have got the knowledge, you must have got the skill, you must have got the qualification, and to me, most importantly, as an average student, the experience. This experience is important because this is where you can reflect. Some of us don't even learn a lesson. Things have happened. There are many messages that God sends. If we could just sit and try to reflect. But we often forget God. When do we think of God? We think of God when we are in difficulty. I don't think that is wrong, but that's not fair. If I were to ask him, one of the Professor Reza, I'll ask you a question. Do you know Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri Malaysia? You know. If I were to ask him, do you know Professor Reza? I asked, he doesn't know, right? Let's assume Professor Reza now becomes Ketua Pemuda UMNO Malaysia. Assuming, don't have to look behind, he's not going to run away, he's going to be with you. Chances that Datuk Sri will say, I know Professor Reza because of Pemuda UMNO. Likewise, if you don't pray, God is not going to know you. It is only through praying that God says, I know that gentleman, and maybe he has some request, I might want to fulfill that request. It is contingent upon praying. So back to this, my belief is pray to your God. So last but not least, I have got this experience that I want to share. I promised the VC that I would like to mention this just now, and he's given me the permission to say this. Last year, I invited 333 graduates. 333 graduates from the local university to be employed in 4 high-impact companies. That is Shell, IBM, HSBC, and AIA, 4 big organizations. Out of 333 students, only 7, which is equivalent to 2%, managed to secure a place in this organization. I'm implying a lot of things here. No, I'm not saying it, but you should understand what I'm trying to hint at. So having said that, I took upon myself to get 74 of those who have failed to be trained by my company. Fast track, 3 months after that, the same student who have failed, 95% of those students who are average students is now working in Shell, HSBC, IBM, and AIA. So out of this little exercise, there are 3 things I must also tell you. Number 1, first class honors, first class bachelor degrees, and PhDs holders are impressive. But it is pointless if they cannot deliver. Message number one. Message number two is, it is not just upgrading of skills. It is about aligning those skills with the need of the industry. And the third part, which is the most important because of the rate of failures from the 333 students, although different job requires different profile, yet creativity and communication are critical components for hiring. These three statements is very important if you want to be successful. It doesn't mean that you want to work with a high impact company if you want to be successful. So, coming back to successful and happiness. Successful in your career, there is a formula to it. I'll just give you that formula. It helped me. Hopefully it would help you too. Can someone write down there? E elephant. E is equal to. Elephant is effectiveness, yeah? Equal to RG plus C plus M plus V plus PF plus RW. Remember I told you I was an average student. I really failed all my maths. Somehow or other, I tend to like formulas. So I cook up this formula just to make sure that probably it would help you too. Just tilt a bit so that I could remember what I said. Tilt a bit so that I could see. Okay, number one, pusing sikit. RG is knowing your roles and knowing your goals. If you don't know what is your objective in life, nothing is going to happen. As a good Muslim, let me give you an explanation. Sembahyang subuh berapa waktu? For the morning subuh prayer. Berapa rakaat? Waktu pula. Berapa rakaat? 2 rakaat. Sembahyang sunat berapa rakaat? 2 rakaat. Sembahyang Jumaat berapa rakaat? You sembahyang Jumaat pakai subuh punya niat boleh tak? Apa start dulu? Niat ke sembahyang? Basically, that's what I'm trying to tell you. So there are 3 key words in life that you must understand. Why are you doing? That's the first thing that you must do. Whatever you do, you must start by asking yourself, why am I doing this? If that thing that you are doing is not giving you any benefit, drop it. That's a choice as well. So if the why, first ask the question, why are you in this university? To play around and waste your father's expectation and your mother's expectation? Is that why you want to be in university? Or do you want to contribute to nation building, as what Dr. Mahathir wants to say, said this morning? You decide, YOU. So G is your goal, R is your role. That is the what to do and the how to do. So the 3 things that you must understand: the why, the what, and the how. Okay. Now, most important is not these 3 words. The next important word is want to do. You know why you should exercise. I'm talking about myself. You know how to exercise. You know what to do, you know how to do. Do you want to exercise? But if you want to exercise and you don't know why you're exercising, that's going to be a problem, because it would not be sustainable. It would last for next 3 weeks, but after that, back to normal. The why is the one that push us, Nicole, David, Chong Wei, or whoever, to the max without anybody asking them to do. And you have got to have that. So the next one is G. No. C. C is, I've covered just now, being competent. Competent. C is competent. That means you have the knowledge, you got the skill. And these skills include, which is something that I think the professors have got to think through, the lecturers have got to think through. This is not about only the communication skills. This is about analytical skills. This is about problem-solving skills. This is about cross-cultural skills. This, I can blabber out so many skills. Communication is not about just being able to say things. It's about writing. It's about reading. It's about listening. I don't ever hear anybody in any university have taught anybody about listening skills. I don't know, Prof. I may be wrong, but I've not gone through. More often than not, I've met so many people, before I could finish, particularly with my wife, before I could finish the statement, she would say, I know. Darling, I want to go. I know. I know. Dia sendiri tak tahu. So I can't say much because she's my wife, but I can tell it to you because I'm sure you listen to me. So coming back to this, C is competence, so I'm not going to touch that. The next one is M. This is very important. This is market. Remember I said, do what the market wants, not do what you think. Now, Cyberjaya, the next 3 years, wants 10,000 job opportunities in Cyberjaya. These are companies like IBM, HSBC, AIA, Shell, and so on and so forth. They can fill these students, this job through intake from Philippines, from Korea, but I would love to see all of you to be gainfully employed in Cyberjaya. It's not easy to work in HSBC, for instance, or AIA, or for that matter, Shell. Because by 2020, if ever wants to reach that developed status, Malaysia wants to reach the developed status, they should have this enough work with high income. And these are high income with high potential to grow into something successful. So this is about successful. Next. V is the value system. Okay? Now, this value system has something to do with character. Character. If your character is flawed, when I say character is flawed, it's very subjective, yeah? It's very subjective, but in general terms, if your character is flawed, even if you have got the knowledge, the skill, the experience, the qualification, and the ability to make it happen on time with quality and within cost, it's not going to happen. Because what is it in for me matters. Can I have extra power? Can I be more powerful or more popular? It is not going to solve a problem. It is creating what I call a character. There are 4 types of people in this world. One is, I don't know, and I don't care. I know, but I don't care. But the last one is, I know and I care. The person that we should create is a person I know, who has got the knowledge, the skill, experience, qualification, and I care, who has got the character. And now let me look at what the dictionary says about character. What exactly comprises of a character? It involves 4 things. I've written it here because I want to make sure that I don't misrepresent things. One is a self-discipline. Self-discipline, according to this record, is the ability to do what is right, even when you don't feel like doing it. That's self-discipline. Core values are the principles that we live by day. I'll explain a little later. Let me go through this statement. A sense of identity. What is your motivation as it relates to money, power, and of course, money, power, and authority. Last but not least, which is the core meaning of character, is integrity, is doing what is right, even if nobody is watching you. If everybody watch you, no problem being good, showing good character. What matters is when nobody is watching you. But let me remind you, God always is there to watch you. So don't. It's a cliche to. But I'm talking in general term. Okay, integrity is doing what is right, even if nobody is watching you. What is important is what is right. Then, even if nobody is watching you. Okay, so that's the core part of character. This is a requirement in the future. Because the future will base, every of these things will be based on trust. You can only be trusted if you have got that integrity with you. Or in short, in bahasa cakap serupa bikin. But unfortunately today, we are all being taught about integrity. My late grandfather, when I was young, 10 years old, I used to follow him to the wet market. He was selling vegetable. Whenever he promised, he keeps to his promise. And I wonder whether anybody taught him about integrity, let alone, because he can even read or write. But today we are being taught. See the irony of things. So, last but not least, don't go for success per se, my friend. Happiness matters. Because as a good Muslim, this world is very temporary. I'm not here to preach, but this is what my philosophy and what I am today. As I said, sometimes miracles happen when I least expect it to happen. I'm in trouble, but I don't know how to solve the problem. God sent me ways to solve the problem. On many occasions, I nearly failed my exam. But what I am today is simply because I think I'm blessed. I want you to be blessed by having this happiness as a motto in your life. That means to combine of these few things together in your life. Spiritual well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, and last but not least, financial stability. Emotional is about be able to love and be able to be in love. Spiritual, meaning spiritual is having a relationship with God and involves a lot of, today's terminology, they call it CSR. But reality is giving back to society, giving back voluntarily. And that's why in Islam, they have got to force you to pay zakat, fitrah. Financial, let me tell you, this is a cruel world. You don't have the money. The first principle in this cruel world is, show me your money before you even talk. I think there's a film on that. Show me your money. Otherwise, nothing matters. What matters in this world is about money. And you have got to change that. Why am I appealing to you? Because I am relying you to change it for the sake of my grandchildren. You see, there's also hidden agenda. You know? If you compound the problem, I don't see my 13 grandchildren has got future in this world. Together, we have got to make it happen. That's next last statement down there. This cannot be done alone. When whatever you are going to do, you cannot do it alone. So the combination of the spiritual, emotional, physical. Physically, you should be healthy. Mental. Look at Dr. Mahathir, he's 80-something. He can give lectures. He knows what's the latest. When he came and stayed with me in my house, I sit for myself. He reads 2 books at a time. I asked him, are you crazy reading 2 books? He said, I want to test my mental capabilities. He reads the Quran and he reads the translation at the same time. I asked him why. I don't want to read the Quran not knowing what am I reading. Do we read? We read because we want to pass exam. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. So financial, you need to be. So the last statement I'm going to tell, YOU. Number one, believe in yourself. I don't think Nicole David, for that matter, Chong Wei, thought one day that he's going to be the world champion. I don't think so. When I started 30 over years ago to make ringgit 1 million, it was something that it doesn't dawn onto me. But today, reflecting back what I've done in throughout this one, I've constructed low cost per se, forget about other forms of development, low cost per se, 30,000 units, which is equivalent to 17 billion. If someone were to tell me 30 years ago that you're going to do this, I would have fainted then. But what I'm asking you to do is, I went through this, the belief in me came slowly as I go through. You have got to start believing yourself today that you're going to be the best, whatever you want to do. And then focus into what you're supposed to do, and more into it. You require little simple word which has been taken for granted. Initiative. Take initiative. Let me explain the word initiative. If you're a Muslim, am I supposed to stop? You're looking at your watch. Okay, No, I don't want to take your time. You give me an old man like me a chance to talk, I'll talk for another 1 hour. So I don't want to disturb your plan. So probably that you will come up a little later. Just to run through what is important in you is not only you have got to believe in yourself, you must not only focus, you not only take initiative. Initiative just now, just to clear it, but it entails initiative as a good Muslim. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. This guy will take wudu without being asked. The second fellow will say, the wife will say, hey, dah azan you tak ambil sembahyang ke? Baru bangkit. That's the second fellow. The third fellow, 3 kali, 4 kali. The fourth time, baru dia ambil wudu. The fourth fellow, muntah pun bini dia tak ambil sembahyang. So, initiative is the first fellow. Do things where you don't have to. You understand? That's initiative. And you must be very passionate, and you need to practice. It cannot come just once, it happens. No. You must persevere. This is very important. Some of us, we are about to reach that stage where we give up. Had you known that you are about to reach that stage of success, you have continued. That's what the power of perseverance is on. And be prepared for any eventualities. Nothing is perfect in this world. God is the only thing that is perfect in this world. So be prepared. And you work as a team. And last but not least, have the courage. Sometimes we dare not say things to our bosses just because he is the boss. Tell the truth, the plain truth, nothing else but the truth. You may be sacrificed on a short-term basis. Long-term, we are talking about long-term. People will respect you. With that, I know I've overshot the time limit of 1 hour. I'm telling all of you. Yes, anytime. So, I would like to take this opportunity to pray to God that all of you, my children, be useful. 4 things. Write down there. Be useful, be reliable, be fair, and be reasonable. God willing, you'll be successful. With that, I end my little talk, hopefully contributing for the betterment of the Ummah. And last but not least, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri, for that most interesting and thought-provoking speech. We now open the floor for Q&A session. Please kindly introduce yourself before asking your question.
Useful. How about it? Yes.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
And glad to meet you. And
Tak dengar lah.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. I'm Muhammad Faiz Ramzani from Faculty of Economy, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. And I know that not so many tycoon do what you are doing. You are entitled to like Cyberjaya, MK Group, MK Land Holdings, and what I want to say is what you are up to in 2014, what you are willing to do in 2014, what you are up to.
Instead can you translate? Itu I tak faham.
For 2014. Yeah, 2014. This upcoming year, instead of MK Group. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good question. I have got this dream. This dream is creating Cyberjaya as the first developed to reach the first developed city status by 2016, not even this year. Okay. This Cyberjaya is the idea is muted out from Dr. Mahathir to turn this into the first Silicon Valley of Malaysia. It was a dream by Dr. Mahathir. Today, it has become a reality. But what I want to turn it into this reality for all Malaysians to be proud that this Cyberjaya is created by Malaysian, and today, as at the moment, there are 20 over billion being invested in Cyberjaya. So to reach the 2016 turning point, that turning point means I've got 1,000 acres. And if that 1,000 acres, 10 new high impact company, one company bringing 4,000 job opportunities. We have got 40,000 job opportunities to people like you. That's my dream. Now just to make sure you understand, the present value of this property, 1,000 acres, is worth 4.3 billion. If I want to make my life easy, sell this 1,000 acres, I'm rich, loaded. But I think I've got this dream to enable Malaysia to reach that status of developed status, because one of the criteria of this developed status nation is to get more high impact company to invest in this country. And that's my dream.
All right, thank you, Tan Sri.
Thank you.
To our participants, the other part of Tan Sri Mustapha, other than the commercial side, is Tan Sri's involvement in the area of sustainability, environment, as well as in terms of addressing poverty. So, for example, like there are two areas that we are working together. One is the area of Pulau Banding, which is the environment, the Royal Belem Forest, as well as Tan Sri also have an island of Orangutan. So my question is, what takes you to Pulau Banding and what takes you to Orangutan? As much as I have been there, probably if we ask a conventional businessman, they will never go there, because there's probably nothing much rightly available. But what takes you to go to the area of Pulau Banding and also to have this, the Orangutan Foundation?
Thank you, Datuk. That's a very good question. 16 years ago, when people told me that orangutan, which is iconic to this part of the world, is going to be extinct. It's going to be extinct. Meaning, my great-grandchildren would never be able to know what's orangutan. And just digressing, orangutan, they have got these 4 species, similar species: the orangutan, the bonobos, the chimpanzees, and the gorillas. In Africa, and the orangutan is almost the same species, akin to the Jawa, Medeling, and so on and so forth. So, but the bonobos, the gorillas, and the chimpanzees, well researched. Nobody wants to do something about orangutan, and yet everybody, including most Malaysians and most top politicians, says it's going to be extinct. So I went and saw Tun Mahathir. I told Tun Mahathir, can we do something about it? He says, what do you want to do, Mustapha? Can you give me one a pair of orangutan? I want to go through this experiment. So 16 years, fast track. Today, we have got 24 orangutan, and we have done a lot of research. And I want to tell you, I did it if only the orangutan can speak, they are 90% similar to human being, except that they can't talk, they can't speak. If they can speak, they can talk, they could ask, tolonglah saya. So I have tolong them, I've helped them without them asking me. And mind you, not to sound egoistic, it cost me millions. It's not thousands, in millions. And I'm not stupid. That's why I kept on telling you just now, I hinted to you. I spent millions, but I got many more million back. You know why? God wants it to be. And that, to the non-Muslim, I call it the mysteries of life. But the Muslim, I'm fated to do that. And God rewarded me. Now back to the hutan. Hutan, that forest, is 130 million years of tropical rainforest. 130 million years of tropical rainforest. To cut a tree this big, that takes 50 years to grow, 10 minutes, and to sell the log for $700. Are you trying to tell me there's no other way to preserve that forest? I went to Turkey. They showed me all the mosques. I paid American dollars. I went to Rome. I paid American dollars. They showed me all the dilapidated buildings, and they talk about Spartacus. Why are we not talking about the rainforest and ask them to pay American dollars through ecotourism? And this 130 million years of tropical forest, 300,000 hectares. You know how big is 300,000 hectares? 4 times the size of Singapore. And to me, it is a gift of God. So I created the foundation, which we have signed the MOU to protect that forest, because people are doing illegal logging, people are doing poaching down there. And some of the animals are about to be extinct. Today, this is 5 years. Today, when Datuk Sri came, he saw, I told him about this, the Prime Minister. He, without asking my permission, declared that area to be UNESCO heritage area, and he wants to turn that into a Camp David. That's God sent. I didn't ask, I didn't bid. And I hope and I pray to God I've got the strength, together with all of you, to fight whoever wants to destroy that. The cause of today's problem, because human beings abused the environment. You and I got to change that. For that matter, those who are interested, I've created what you call Green Ranger movement, to train people like you for 3 days, 2 nights to stay with me in the forest, to love nature. And we have done almost few thousand students, and it was unanimous that everybody who went down for this training, Green Ranger, came out and told me point blank onto my face, that's the best thing ever happened to them. And it started with a joke, because I come from a poor family. 50% of my life was on top of tree. That's why the orangutan has got some interest down there. But what surprised me, 13 of my grandchildren, none of them knows how to climb trees, let alone differentiate between one tree to the other. It is not a good sign for the future. So I created the Green Ranger primarily to solve my personal problem, to get my grandchildren. And they have gone through, some of them have gone through the experience, and now they are, inverted comma, in love with nature. They know the ecosystem. So I think, thank you very much. You have been very kind to me, and I pray to God the little I have said to you would help you for your future undertaking. Thank you very much. And again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.